Hey, LiYana here. Here's another tip for feeling better based on the understanding that if we want to feel better, we have to get better at feelings. So here is tip number 5 for feeling better, which is sheltering in a storm of feeling. Or the tip would be how to shelter in a storm of feeling. And so we think about feelings as having two components. There's the sensation component and the story component. We're going to talk about sensation and then story in a different video. And by sensation, I mean all the things you feel in your body, like heat or contraction or numbness. And those are intense. They're like a storm of feeling, and we need to have different ways to work with that. Different situations call for different ways of working with it. And our focus is going to be sheltering, how to shelter in a storm of feeling. And this is based on some different ways that animals behave in an actual storm where there may be wind and rain and, hurricane, tornadoes events. So cows behave differently than buffalo, behave differently than horses. Briefly, cows in a storm of wind and rain will seek shelter and seek to dissipate the storm. Buffalo will look to run right into the heart of the storm and actually get more wet, get more impacted by the storm, but it actually passes quicker. So cow medicine and buffalo medicine of how to work with those kinds of how to stay grounded in a storm and dissipate the storm, or how to run right into the heart of it. Those are other videos. I'll see you there. And the point of this one is to understand how horses will respond when there's a windy, rainy storm. And we'll apply that to an emotional storm. So horses don't necessarily seek shelter from a storm, they become the shelter. And so what they do, if there's a group of them, is they actually point their noses together and they put their tails toward the wind. The tails are their flanks and their behinds that actually can take more of the wind and the rain. And so they stay warm and they stay nose to nose and they form the shelter. And so this practice, when we're in an emotional storm, and there's the equivalent of wind and rain, but on a feeling level, the way that we can, rather than seek shelter, but become shelter for ourselves, is a kind of intention or a kind of visualization where we can imagine a younger, smaller part of ourselves that is feeling the storm of feeling. And we imagine holding that part of ourselves the way we would hold an animal or a child or something important and vulnerable. We hold it, we go like, wow, there's a storm going on and I am going to hold you. I'm going to be safe port. I'm going to be strong arm, loving arms, holding this part of me, not asking it to change, not asking the storm to complete or behave, but just like, I'm safe, I got you, I love you. And so in that way, we create the shelter. So we notice there's a part of us that is experiencing the storm, and we summon another part of ourselves. So then we're actually two parts at once. We summon the sheltering part that is big and strong and safe enough to shelter the part that is experiencing the storm. And then we develop this intention or this attitude from one part of ourselves, the sheltering part, to the other part, the stormy part, which is, I gotcha. I'm creating safety. I am creating a space of holding, and I gotcha. And I don't need you to do anything but feel whatever you're feeling. And so in that way, we enact horse medicine. And when there's an emotional storm, instead of seeking shelter, we become the shelter. So stay with me for other tips to get better at feeling, to decode the story part of feelings, and otherwise not die from feelings. But in essence, again, to be able to feel better, we need to get better at feelings. So I'll see you there.